Hey guys, it's me, and as you can tell by the title, today we are doing our doll limb tightening tutorial. I'm really excited to finally be doing this. So let's get started. First thing you're going to need is obviously your doll. You're going to have your limbs, whose limbs are getting tightened, and in this case I have Lainey here. And the other things that you are going to need are hair ties to tighten the limbs with. And I bought mine because I didn't have any spare that I was willing to get rid of. So these are super thin. They're like the really thin kind. You can't really tell. But they're from Goody, and I got them from literally like my grocery store for like $5 for 50. So I have that. You don't have to have this, but I think this is going to come in handy. I have a bin where I'm going to put all the stuffing when we unstuff her to get to all the limbs. And I have a pencil. This is also optional, but I tend to have a really hard time when I'm restuffing her getting the, getting all of the, stuffing back inside her body, so I used a pencil to like shove it down there and like get it into little crevices and stuff, and it might help. So just a basic pencil, optional. So that's pretty much all you had to do. So Lainey's hair, I have not done Lainey's hair, so excuse its mess. Lainey's hair is in a ponytail, which makes it easier for me to work with anyway, which is good. So first thing you're gonna do is you're going to untie the strings that hold her head on. Now, if you have Leah, my hair is going to get in the way. I might have to put it up in a bun. Now, if you have Leah, holy wow, Lainey's head's never been untied. Sorry, I keep like interrupting myself. If you have Leah, and she doesn't have the neck strings, I don't know, how to do that yet, because obviously you have to cut open Leah's body in order to get to the inside of the doll. So with Leah's the doll that you need to restring or whatever. I mean, not restring, have her limbs tightened. I actually would probably recommend that you send her to AG, because AG will be able to do it better than you would. But this is for like older dolls with neck strings. Okay, got that knot undone. There we go. From there, it all came undone. Okay, so here's where it gets a little scary for some people. When you have these strings undone, you pull the head out. So here is your doll's head. You're going to set that off to the side. And you have a body. I meant to show this at the beginning, but we can still show it now. See how loose her legs are? That's not supposed to happen when I wiggle her body like this. Okay? Like, this is really, really bad. She's never had her limbs tightened before, which is obvious as to that having been so hard to untie. And this. So we are now going to take our bin, if we have one. If not, you can just put it off to the side somewhere. I like having a place to put it where like it won't get like misplaced or lost or anything like that. And you're literally going to de-stuff your doll's body here. So you're just going to literally just pull all your doll's stuffing out. If you need to do just the arms, then you might want to just take out enough so that doll's arm sockets are visible. It's most of the time, in my experience, the legs that need the tightening. So in that case, you're going to have to like completely, empty out the doll. And as you can see, there's already a ton of stuffing that I pulled out. And that's why I like having the bin here. And I think I'm going to keep it for a while as a result, because I have like a bunch of, tightening of limbs I have to do. I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 dolls at the moment that need limb fixing. And that doesn't even include my own collection. So, yeah, that number is going to be like 1,000 times higher when it's my collection. Maybe. I don't know. My dolls are in pretty good condition. So, you literally just have to unstuff your doll. And there's a ton of stuffing that comes out of them. You'd be surprised if this is your first time doing it. You would be really surprised to see how much stuffing goes into these dolls. And when you go to stuff it back up, that's when you're like, how does all of this fit in there? Because literally, like, this entire tub is filled up with stuffing that came just from Lainey's body. So Lainey is pretty much all the way de-stuffed. I think I'm going to pull this last clump out here. Okay, her body is mostly empty. There's probably a few, like, little pieces in here. Actually, no, it's pretty much empty. And now it's, like, entirely empty. So, Lainey's body is now completely devoid of any stuffing. So this is what your AG body looks like without any stuffing in it. It's like a completely hollow sack with limbs weighing it down. So, we're going to look at the joint, the shoulder joint first for the arms. So, here's your arm. See this cup and then this cup? This is your shoulder joint. This is what makes your doll's arm able to move. Now, what you have to do is you have to take your hair scrunchies. I think you typically need one per arm. I guess it really depends up to your preference. I'm going to take 4 off of my little thing here. So we have 4 hair scrunchies. And what you have to do is you need to take your hair scrunchie and see how this cup can be, you actually really can't because my fingers are in the way. See how this cup can be pulled apart from the, like, skin color plastic? What you have to do is you have to put the hair scrunchie in between the cup and the skin colored part. See? And you need to tie it. So you need to secure your thing. And you need to do it as tight as it can go. Because this is what tightens up the limb. Because the elastic is loose. And that is what causes your doll's limbs to go way all over the place. So that is why when you tighten a doll's limbs, you have to tighten the elastic. We're going to do one more. Okay, so when you're done, literally like this. See? The cup is probably going to be loose. That's okay. So now, when you try and move the doll's arm, it's going to be better off. The biggest test is when you lift the doll's arm up or out. Make sure it doesn't slip any. It's pretty good to me. So, that done, we are going to do the other arm. And you literally do this with every single socket. It's the same thing. So we'll do this again before we do speed. You literally just pull it apart like that. And then you just stick it through. And then you just literally do it like you're tying her hair off. You just tie the elastic off with a hairband. And once you use these hairbands, obviously, you're not going to get these hairbands back. That's why I bought hair ties specifically for this, because you can't just take them back after you use them to tighten the elastic. So be prepared to lose some hair ties here. Okay. And there you go. And then you can test it. See? See how much better that is? Now her legs are going to be the really big deal, because you guys saw how they wobbled. They're definitely not supposed to do that, and let alone at that like speed. So with the legs, it's a little bit more difficult because the legs are obviously all the way down here and the hole is all the way up here. So you kind of have to scrunch the body together so that you can get to the like cup. And you do the exact same thing. It's really not that hard. I also want to say, make sure that you do not get your strings that you tie around the head caught in any of these elastics, because that's obviously a very bad thing. Okay, now we're going to continue. The legs are so loose that I'm actually going to use 2 elastics on each leg. So let's see how this goes. See how thick this is. It's so funny. Hold on. Let's see if I can. It's because I used 2 elastics instead of 1. Okay, let's try this out. Much better. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 for each leg. Okay, this one is still bad. So we are going to have to use 3. Just keep doing it until your limbs are tight enough. That's what I'm going to say in this moment. Okay. I got some fabric in there, so that's not supposed to happen. Make sure that doesn't happen, you guys. Okay. Okay, that's as good as it's gonna get. Can't fit a 4th one on there. All right, so when you are done tightening all 4 limbs or whatever limbs you need tightened, now you need to start restuffing your doll. This is probably the easiest part. The restuffing is the harder part. So let's do it. You just grab a handful of stuffing and you start shoving. You can listen to music while you pass the time. I can't do that because I'll get copyright, so I have to sing. And I only was singing because I knew it could get sped up. And you wouldn't have to hear my horrible voice. It would just sound like a chipmunk. Oh boy, I'm awful. Okay. At first it's not that difficult, but then when you have to start really getting it in there, that's when it's the problem. So you just use the pencil to just shove the stuff in there. You can also use a pen. I mean, really, it's whatever you have at hand. You could use a knitting needle, but I actually probably wouldn't recommend doing that because it could puncture the fabric. Actually, don't use a knitting needle. I lied. Don't use one. Because that could really puncture the fabric. It would be bad. I'd say a pencil's best. You gotta make sure when you are stuffing your doll, restuffing your doll, I should say, that you get like in the cracks by the leg joints and like down the middle here because it's very easy to miss that. That's kind of why I use the pencil to jam it in because you can see the wrinkles from where it's empty and you don't want those there. Okay, so even though it looks like Lainey is very much stuffed, and obviously there's stuffing coming out the top here, there's still a little bit left in here that was once in here. So this is kind of the point where you guys are going to be like, holy cow, how on earth did they get all the stuffing in here? And I don't know myself, but I mean, it is possible to get every little ounce of stuffing that you lost out of your doll back in there. And I know this for a fact because I just did it with Mia like a couple months ago. So yeah. You can also stuff some like up around the arm sockets here and here. It may make the arms, the shoulders look a little defined, but you can like mush it around and figure out how you like it. See the difference? This one I just put stuffing into, and this one has no stuffing in it. Okay, now that we have all of our stuffing back into our doll, this is the second hardest part, because this was hard, and now putting the head back on is hard too. So what you do is you see how there is a lip here around the entire head. It's a big lip. And then there's like an indent right here. So what you do is you stick the head in the indent like that so that the lip goes in here like that. You're going to probably want to make sure, unless you don't care, that there's no like stuffing peeking out. Here's the really hard part. You might want to ask for an adult just to help to make sure you get the head on tight enough. And I typically will turn the head so that the hair isn't in the way from the ponytail. You then are going to tie the neck strings. And it's actually much harder than you think it is because it's really hard to get it really tight. Trust me, I've tried. So you obviously tighten it like that. You just cross the strings over and then you pull them as tight as you can. You shove the head down and you pull super, super tight until it's as neat of a seam as possible. And once it's super duper tight, you have to pull like really tight. And then you have to hold it like that unless you have someone helping you, in which case, lucky you, went home alone. And you pull. I might have to do this a couple times, guys. And you have to try to hold it in position if you're doing this by yourself, while at the same time looping it over to make a knot. I'm sure you guys know how to make a knot. If you don't, I'd be really scared. Okay, if you want to, you can loosen it up like I just did, so that you have the loop and then the two strings. I usually stick a finger in the loop, have two fingers each holding on to a strand and pulling. See how my fingers are in the hole or in the loop, pulling it tight. And then you keep pulling until it's tight. So that's how you do it. So now she does still have a little bit of an open seam here, but that's actually really good considering past attempts I've had, and they were very, very poor. So now your doll is all not restrung, keep wanting to say restrung. All of her limbs have been tightened, all of her stuffing's back in, her head's tied back on, and she is ready to play. Or in this case, be sold. So look, her arms will now stay up. Her legs, sure, they still move, but they can act. That one was the hard one that I couldn't really fix that much. She might need a restringing, but I don't know how to do that, nor am I sending her to AG, so her new owner is just gonna have to deal with it. So she can sit now. Technically, I think there's something wrong with this particular leg, so it should be able to stay up. Unless your doll might need a restringing. Your doll might need a restringing if it can't do it. Because I put 3 elastics in this leg. It shouldn't be this loose still. It should be really, really tight, if anything. Her limbs, as you saw on the legs, were really, really bad. So I'm not all that surprised. But yeah, that's how you do it. And she is ready to conquer the world. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.